Is Ulrika Madgova any good in patch 5.0? I think she's good, but she's a lot squishier than Gotrek or Felix in practice, and she has so many options that you feel like you want 40 ranks with her before she gets amazing. I try to help people avoid information paralysis, so let's break this down and show off the many things Ulrika can do to make your armies better. Recruited by quest, 150 upkeep on foot. Ulrika gets 3,968 health on Ultra default. Armor is 50, which is okay. Physical resistance 5 default, which is token. Missile resistance the usual 15%, leadership 80, but that won't last if she's badly hurt and starts to crumble. Speed 40 default, melee attack begins at 50 with an attack interval of 4, medium splash target size and a max targets actually damaged of 5, so she will tend to drown in an infantry fight compared to, let's say, Felix. Melee defense starts at 46. Weapon damage is 450 to start, which is not at all bad, but the unusual split is 250 base and 200 armor piercing, so while not ineffective against armored targets, she's especially brutal against lower armored ones. Moreover, she has a bonus versus infantry of 30, astonishingly brutal. Charge bonus is 25, and mass is 600. Now, in rather short order, she gets a Barded Warhorse, raising upkeep to 250, health to 4,580, not raising her armor, so it's still 50. Speed rises to 78 normal, 108 charge speed. Charge bonus is 50, mass 1500. All other stats identical. For ranged, Ulrika is a fire whilst moving hero. Ammunition starts at 30. Range is 180, quite long. Missile damage is officially 297, with each missile doing 124 base and 84 armor piercing, again favoring base damage, but with a healthy armor piercing chunk. She gets 1 arrow per attack and a reload time of 7 base, hence the average damage. Total accuracy is listed as 110 with a calibration distance of 80 and a calibration area of 0.2. This is very interesting, meaning that she is a pinpoint sniper, but not quote as much unquote of one at maximum range. Penetration cap is medium and max targets penetrated beyond the first is 5. Aside from the usual undead shortcomings, Ulrika can cause fear. Before getting into the skill tree, Ulrika gains a special passive on horseback called Horseback Prodigy, and while over 75% health, she gets plus 25% base and armor piercing missile damage, plus 15% speed, and gets Strider. Given this, the only reason to have her on foot seems to be to save 100 upkeep per turn. Most sane generals would rather disband a unit of spearmen than take away Ulrika's horse. Background skills aiding Ulrika are Boyar lineage, adding plus 4 leadership for Empire and Kislev infantry units, and granting recruit rank plus 2 for such units if recruited by Ulrika's army, which frankly is pretty amazing if you're using her with Empire or Kislev. Malachi, well, not as much. Lesser Hunger grants Ulrika up to a 0.1% per second self-heal when she is in melee, as in it's 0 to start with, and slowly gets higher as she accumulates time in melee. It does help. As an embedded hero, Ulrika provides increased mobility, which can be easy or hard to get with the faction you are playing depending on circumstances. Mobility is fantastic. Spread control is her map passive. As an agent, she can damage walls, wound, and assault units. Specialist reduces the cost of these actions. This is great and fine, but sometimes you'll get her critically wounded like this. If you have no army in which there's room to fit her at a given part of a campaign, then there's nothing wrong with doing this. Missile-focused heroes aren't the easiest to use in battle if you're not set up for it, so that can be better at times. I'm not going to cover her spell line specifically because it's the standard spell line for Lore of Shadows. Now I think Lore of Shadows is just fine. She might be your only access to the lore too. I'm just saying there's no differences from normal, so no point investing more time in it. In the top line, Ulrika gets rank 2 access to 2 buffs that are stronger than normal. Ulgu Experiment gives her 15% spell resistance, and Lightning Fast gives her an extra 15% missile resistance. Counter-sniping buffs can serve her very well. At rank 8, Loyalty to the Motherland kicks in one time when leadership is getting low, granting Unbreakable for 25 seconds. It's a buffer between her and Crumbling and Disintegration. That's a good thing. For her yellow line, this merits a strong focus. Confident All-Rounder grants a plus 6 melee attack and plus 4 melee defense, with 1 pip to start. Merciless Attacker grants up to plus 9 melee attack on top of that. Prudent Defender adds up to plus 9 melee defense. Insurance Policy adds up to plus 15 armor. 50 armor was not improved by our horse upgrade. Speaking of that, Accomplished Cavalrywoman adds up to a mighty plus 45 charge bonus, stacking on top of the 50 she got by getting her mount at all. Foe Seeker is the same old goodness, a speed increase and vigor regeneration. No Qualms Killer at 3 pips does 2 things, raising weapon strength plus 20% and adding plus 20 flat to her melee armor piercing. Staying Power adds up to plus 30% health and 5% added physical resistance, which for 3 pips is crazy powerful. Uncanny Range adds plus 30 to her range and adds the Snipe ability, which normally you'd want with, Stalk or something? Treat her like a Hawkland long rifle on a horse, and hide her in a forest. The Motherland protects. All a quiver. An utterly shameless pun adds plus 30% ammunition and plus 25% armor piercing missile damage, which does a ton to bring that part of her kit in line with the base damage, and just plain makes her more powerful overall. Deadly Onslaught is the same old, but gives her real punch, charging in on horseback, so you want that in your quivering arsenal. You see what I did there. Unlocked starting at rank 14, her really personal line has some very interesting stuff. Blight of the Skaven, love the name, grants an army plus 20% chance of intercepting Khazrak or Throt, among others, grants plus 25% ambush defense against Khazrak or Throt, among others, plus 8 melee defense for the entire army when defending, such as in an ambush battle against... you get the idea. And the active ability, the Dancing Blade, cooldown 120 seconds, 23 second duration, 15 meter range only, but within those 15 meters. Enemies have minus 24 melee attack, and Ulrika herself gets plus 24 melee attack and plus 40 physical resistance. There are no words sufficient to convey what a literal game changer this can be in a key moment in a fight against a high priority target. A 48 point swing in melee attack in Ulrika's favor, and the debuff helping other allies during that time too, gives Ulrika an opportunity to really lay into stuff with impunity, and to turn the Vermintide. Dragon Slayer grants Ulrika, quote, heavy arrow, unquote, ammunition, granting bonus versus large and armor-piercing damage. Grants 15% fire resistance to Ulrika's entire army, and grants an augment called Scalandir's Fall, if I said that right. 120 second cooldown, 39 second duration, plus 90 accuracy to herself for ranged, and inflicts the Blinded debuff to whatever's hit. Interestingly, our current version of Blinded lasts 26 seconds, halves speed, gives minus 24 melee attack, minus 24 melee defense, and minus 26 missile block chance. I'll remember this for engineer types using Flash Bomb. Beast Slayer, version Ulrika, saves 25% off the chance of a plague spreading, but only affecting her army, minus 25% attrition from being in Chaos Corruption, wound recovery time minus 3, which is outstanding, and spell resistance 15% for her entire army. Vampire Slayer grants Ulrika a 10% ward save, and grants her entire army immunity to psychology. The lack of any condition to this is fantastic! Bloodborne raises Ulrika's healing cap by 50%, grants minus 25% attrition casualties when in Vampiric Corruption, and grants Ulrika Cause Terror, which definitely has its places. Finally, Blood Forged grants plus 10% casualty replenishment to Ulrika's army, suddenly waiving the need for a replenishment hero, or simply boosting the effects of one to the stratosphere. Causes enemy leadership minus 6, and replaces Lesser Hunger with the Hunger, granting 0.1% regeneration when in melee from start to finish. So kick around some Skaven slaves. It's just as good as fighting a Sun Dragon. Ulrika gets 2 items on recruit and 1 follower, Gabriella. I'll skip trying to pronounce her last name. She causes Winds of Magic Reserve to rise plus 5 every turn, which is excellent if you need it to rise without any normal means of boosting it. Character experience plus 15 per turn seems token. Silver Dagger provides no benefits until you activate the ability. 120 second cooldown, 32 second duration, and at that point, Ulrika inflicts magical attacks, bypassing physical resistance, and does 25% more base and armor-piercing melee damage. That's a big boost, but it's for a relatively short period of time. Finally, the Blood Shard can grant Ulrika up to times 1.6 spell mastery, but it goes up in intensity with the kills made by Ulrika personally in that particular battle. In other words, it can be meh, or it can be absolutely broken. It depends on your circumstances, and if you can set up an ideal Pit of Shade situation. If you can, then the damage she does with even the basic miasma is boosted immensely. So how do you use Ulrika? That's the problem. You can use her in a bunch of different ways, most of which benefit from micro you may or may not be able to afford. That's the tough part. The great part is that over the long haul, she's going to become incredible. In battle, just the fact she's a horse archer past rank 4 means that ride and run attacks are absolutely how you should open a battle. Even if you just put a single point into Miasma, you can use otherwise untapped Winds of Magic to harass and diminish the foe. Since she's a hero, her arrows are like mini ballistas, able to penetrate infantry or large model cavalry units and take out multiple foes. Nonetheless, her shots are valuable enough that wasting them on goblins won't give you much return. And as I said at the start, she's squishy enough. I mean, she doesn't have healing except in melee, on her own that is. Once you understand these limitations, you can start mastering use of her as a horseback assassin, a truly brutal opponent for any kind of low armor mage. Not only can she whittle down on the hoof, her charges become extremely effective. Anyway, enough of that. I think Thrones of Decay is the perfect opportunity to talk about Synergies, because all of a sudden the Empire Engineer exists, and tactics you could use to some degree with Dwarf Engineers and so on becomes even better. Ulrika, early on, runs out of ammo because she's such a prodigious skirmisher. But wait! Restock completely resolves that problem. And hey, don't engineers get mounts too? So you can have a mounted, anti-character, ranged goon squad running around. Ooh. Of course, that can be difficult to pull off and Black Knights will want to smash your heads in. But that's why you use ambushes, stalking units, other heroes, melee cavalry on your side that can come in and clean up. I feel like this and ingenious use of Ulrika's magic is how you'll really start wiping out whatever obstructs your hero and lord's sniping. And then, once you can do it with impunity, restock keeps you in the game until it's time to make that perfect melee charge with all the buffs running. This is to say that only magic puts Ulrika into the mass devastation area. She's normally a scalper, though plus 30 versus infantry is pretty insane and you absolutely want to use that. It's to say you want her to focus on what she's best at, and smiting trolls in melee isn't it. Ideally, she finds someone on the ground like a huntsman general, dodges a couple of arrows, and destroys him in melee. Missile, magic, and pure support heroes look like food to her. Let her drink. So, I think I can end here. There's a ton you can do with her, but she's not equally good at all of those things. In the long run, she becomes an incredibly useful hero, and even that plus 2 infantry recruit rank background passive is strong for Empire and Kislev. There's no reason not to have her. It's just best to commit to the long haul, build around her strengths, and have her do more than take 1,000 off a lord's health before the melee mosh pit begins in earnest. She can do more than that for you, but you need to work it out. Take care, and have fun taking this remarkable character into action. I like her, and she absolutely brings much different stuff than Gotrek or Felix do, though that engineer goon squad might be the better play to her strengths.